27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And there isn't one of us that doesn't want to be someplace else. This is what we do. Who we are.
Survive a war. You gotta become war.
Boom. And welcome to Rambo and Frens. Happy Thursday. I look forward to Thursdays all the time because Absolute1776 shows up, and every once in a while we get also the presence of Stormy Patriot Joe. Stormy Patriot Joe will not be here right away today. He may not make it at all. He's running family around, doing personal stuff. He did, however, promise to try to stop in maybe by phone call if he had to, but I look forward to it if he does. But me and Abs always seem to get along amazingly. So I'm super excited to do this. It's been a few weeks because last week was my rotation where it's just not possible. So we've been going hard though this week, and I am super grateful to see all of you guys piling in. So with that, let's just get right into it today because I gotta find my friends. There we go. So
I wouldn't miss a chance to talk to my friends. These are my friends.
another boom. What's up, Abs? How you doing, buddy?
What's up, buddy? I love that the clip you pulled of him saying that was from 2017. I just noticed that. It's amazing.
Yes, you know I have a second one, right? It's I want to chop it though. I want to get just like the 3 seconds in the beginning because here, look, check this out.
Friends, delegates,
Well,
and
it
fellow
should stop right
citizens,
there.
I stand before you this evening with a message of confidence, strength, and hope.
Yeah.
Friends. He came really close to saying friends there. Really did.
He's on my
Love it.
friends.
These
Yeah.
are my friends. These is my friends.
Well, bro, I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. How you been?
Good, man. Good. Me and the wife, he took a little excursion last week in House Set for a friend. So it was nice. Like the last 4 or 5 days we were there, I just kind of shut off and took a little break. It was needed, man. It was needed. I'm doing good though. I'm good. I'm excited about what we're seeing. The DNC has been a complete comedy show, and I just can't help but believe it. Look, either we're completely out of our minds, brother, or these people really are being made to drive their train off the cliff in public eye, in the sense of public humiliation. I mean, that's where we're at to me. They're not hiding anything. They're not hiding that they're communists. They're not hiding that they're Satanists. They're not hiding that they want your children. They're not hiding that they want to torpedo this country. That's not their choice to be doing that shit, brother. I don't believe it is. So, just buckle in and enjoy the ride up till November, friends, because it's going to get bumpy, but it's going to be interesting. And all the panic you see from them is all you need to know about how much winning we're actually doing.
Dude, the gaslighting coming out of that DNC is look. Kim and I lay in bed like at nighttime, and we turn it on because it's like after the kids go to sleep or whatever. And we watch the last couple of people, and she gets like I can see the infuriation rise in her face.
Right? Yeah, but I'll give them credit. That's the one thing these people are good at. They can gaslight their balls off. They are masterclass gaslighters. That is all they do. It is all they know how to do is gaslight, project, and lie. Then repeat the process. They truly believe if you repeat the lie enough, people are going to believe it. The problem is there are so many people awake now that people are not buying their shit like they used to. There's some still out there buying it, obviously. I'm not saying everybody's not buying it. There's still people out there that are going to do their happy seal, Kamala, I'm going to vote for her. But there's a lot of, compare it to 2020, compare it to 2016, and look how many people are awake right now. It's going to be interesting, man. I'm firmly convinced they're going to try to steal it. It's just a matter of what happens that night. What is it allowed? Does it hang? Does it get resolved then? Is it what's going to happen? They're going to try to steal it, but we'll see what happens, man. I'm legitimately optimistic about the way things are rolling. It's like every time you see them do something, you see our side come right back over the top almost immediately. The whole Vance banging a couch and then Tim Walz drinking horse semen is a fine example of that. They come out with this narrative that JD Vance banged his couch when he was a teenager, right? The next day, here comes a story about Walls drinking horse semen. That reeked of white hats coming over the top and dunking on these guys to me. It was like instantaneous. Like, okay, you want to say our dude banged a couch? All right, watch this. It just, you're seeing warfare out in the open at this point, a different kind of warfare we've ever seen. We're on the winning side of it, and we have to keep pushing, man. That's where I'm at.
I'm with you. Let me slow you down because I have a really bad habit of doing this. There's a whole bunch of people piling in. Let me say first and foremost, let's do abs. So I know you guys have probably the biggest Q-based show that there is on the internet. Now, that being said, I think that there's a lot of crossover that's happening specifically with my show right now because there are different factions within this movement, right? Different people are attracted to different people's messages. It's something that I've tried to do. We've talked about it before, which is kind of stand in the middle and unite everybody, kind of push the idea that we can bounce different ideas off of each other, whether we agree or disagree, and still find common ground in an ultimate goal, right? So the reason I'm saying that is I've been saying this all week, and I'll probably mention it a few more times, but I'm super grateful for the opportunity because I went on to that News Treason show with Dave, and Mark was a co-host the night I was on, and got an unbelievable reception. So this show has gained, I don't know, we're pushing, I think it's like 16 or 1700 more people that subscribe to the channel. So I love saying thank you, first of all, for those people all being there. But could you, just for the sake of a bunch of new people watching this show, and just in case they haven't stumbled onto Badlands yet, just give a brief introduction of what you and Joe do? I'm sure most have seen it, but just in case, right?
Of course, man. So Eye of the Storm started in 2022, in November of 2022, over on Badlands Media. It was an idea that Joe and myself had been floating around for a couple years prior to that. We were just kind of waiting for the right time, the right circumstances to pop up to really be able to do a quality Q show. And so when we started the show, we basically said what we're going to do is we're going to try to recapture how it felt, number one, at the time, to be going through the drops and doing some digs and putting things together. And number two, we really wanted to kind of focus on how much of this stuff is still hitting. There were a lot of people that through 21 and 2022, I'll include myself in it, we're even starting to get close to black-pilled, or at least losing hope, or feeling like, man, what the hell is going on here? There's, nothing happening. But, our focus with the show was we need to start showing that things are absolutely still happening. That, as a matter of fact, the board probably getting hit harder than while Trump was in office. So we started doing the show, and the first episode of the show is kind of an overview of who we are, how we got into the movement, how we got into Q. And then from there, the show really starts to get going. And every episode we do a Q review, where we'll go over some of the drops and time to current things, or show what they were talking about at the time. The front half of the show is usually loaded with Joe putting together slides of current comms and current decodes. We do a memer of the week, where we'll highlight somebody from within the movement that's a memer, and we'll share a bunch of their memes. We have a segment called America First, where we go over America First candidates, America First people that are aligned with Trump, and kind of expose people to them. We have another segment called We the People, where it's kind of a crash course in the Constitution and all things America, the kind of stuff they don't teach in school anymore about the history of this country and all that stuff. We're going to be doing a new segment. This Sunday, we're debuting our third weekly episode, and we're going to be doing a kind of spiritual warfare prayer segment as well. So we aim to keep Q in focus. We try to make it easy for people to understand and adapt to. We try to walk that line where we'll get into the complex decodes, but we'll also keep it low level as well and try to explain it to everybody so everybody can understand what they're seeing, because God knows there are certain facets of the Q operation that are seriously complex, especially for newcomers that are just like, man, how are they making these connections? I just don't see it. And so that's our goal, man. You'll never, ever see us black pill over on that show. You'll never see us doubt this country or doubt God. You'll never see us throw around doom or it's nothing but high vibes and positivity over there. And it's not hopium, it's hope. There's a difference. Me and Joe aren't going to sit over there and tell you guys shit's going to happen if we don't know it's going to happen. We're not going to tell you on this date President Trump will be back in office, because we don't know. We just show you things going on that are completely contradictory to how the deep state and how these satanic assholes have run things for the last hundreds of years, man. And we're at a point now where it's all being exposed. So we try to focus on that. We really try to grow hope and faith over on that show. We try to show the relevance of Q. We try to show, and not just that, we show news over there too. We talk about other things going on. So it's a really fun show with an awesome crowd over there too, man. That chat is so lit. There's rarely any trolls or shills over there. When they show up, our chat takes care of them and they saunter off because they're not getting anywhere with it. It's such a fun show to be a part of, man. We've had so many awesome guests. We're going to get you on there soon too, man. Just go ahead and let your fan base know that at some point Joe's going to be appearing over there with us, man, because it's only right. But that's hella fun show, man. If you haven't checked it out, comes on Tuesday nights at 10:30, Friday nights at 9 o'clock, and Sundays at 7:30 is when you can catch Eye of the Storm. And the third show was needed with as hard as everything's hitting the board now and everything going on. We were leaving things on the floor, for Tuesdays and Friday's show. And we'd get a couple days past that show, and then the things we left on the floor would hit, and we're like, shit, we got to figure something out here to get more content out. So John was awesome enough to give us a third slot for that show weekly. So awesome stuff, man. It's so much fun to be a part of it. It really is.
Yeah, that's exciting. I got to be honest, dude. I've written threads where I've included clips from that show. You know what I mean? Because you guys just do such a great job of breaking things down. I'm pretty sure my dog comms, I did a version of dog comms, a thread version, and I used a clip from your guys' show. There's been multiple times. I'm grateful to have. Look, everybody knows I call myself. My self description is a second generation anon. So through the process I went through with my father in jail and all that stuff, and landing here in the movement, God put me here. But I wouldn't be where I'm at without leaning on guys like you guys. So it means the world to have a show that you can go to and learn so much from. You guys are inspirational, to say the least, for sure.
I appreciate it, brother. And that's, I would be a bit remiss if I didn't give a shout to those that I looked up to when I entered the movement. And that would be, guys like Awakened Outlaw, Jordan Sather, guys that in the trenches from the get-go over on Twitter. And I was there over on Reddit, but it's not the same. I didn't enter the Twitter space till late 2018, beginning of 2019. So when I entered that Twitter space, Awakened Outlaw, we were on the show here together a couple weeks ago. He was one of the first big accounts that followed me back, began resharing my stuff, interacting with me. Jordan Sather was the same. He takes a lot of shit in this movement, but I've known Jordan personally for a long time, and I'm here to tell you he's a good dude with a heart of gold, and he is absolutely a patriot, regardless of the fact that he may say things that twig your nerves. The dude is 100% legit. I'm just telling you. That's what I told you before the show, man. I would always rather be friends with the honest asshole than the smiley glad hand that's going to bury your knife in the back when they give you a hug. And so some of these people with these personalities, it's, I'm kind of the same, bro. I can be a little standoffish. I can be a little prickly. And honestly, I think that's a defense mechanism a lot of us have built up after years in this movement and being attacked so much. It's just kind of like going to speak our truth within our conviction. If you like it, fine. If you don't like it, also fine, because your opinion of me does not determine my reality. And it took a long time for me to get that mindset, brother. I'm telling you, it took me, even until recently, there would be people I'd be griping with in this movement that I just wouldn't share, regardless of how good their information was. And I kind of had an epiphany a few months back. I was like, you know what? That's childish as fuck. Like, me sharing somebody, and the same goes for you, dude. I know you do it as well because you care about this movement in your country more than any personal grudges. But, my feelings come in second place to saving this country. So if somebody I dislike or have had it out with is laying down good information, I'm going to share their stuff. It doesn't mean I'm best friends with them. It doesn't mean me and them are sitting there chatting away in the back channels. It doesn't mean we're hanging out and cooking out at the weekends. It just means I saw that person's post and said, yo, that's fire. That needs more eyes on it. And that's, I've seen a lot more people doing that in the movement, which makes me proud lately to see people kind of putting their egos aside and embracing that. But it's one thing that we have to continue to do. The truth is more important than our feelings, man.
Yeah, without
Kind
question.
of went off on a tangent there.
No, I'm glad you did. I hope this show is part of that unifying message. That's ultimately my goal. I think we win once we all stand together and we put our little differences apart. It's funny that you brought up AO and Jordan because, first of all, Awaken Outlaw was here yesterday. So for anybody out there that wants to know who AO is and you did not see the show yesterday, please go back and watch it. That dude is a legend. And Jordan and I and AO, all three of us, did one of what I believe is probably one of my most important shows ever, where we put the Operation Trust versus Q up against each other, and we really like hashed it out. Right?
I learned that show.
More, bro. I learned more in that show about the differences between the Bolshevik Revolution bullshit propaganda from the deep state we're given to try to discredit Q than anything. That show was amazing. So I love Jordan for that.
And that's something we as Q influencers have to do as well. We have to be willing to look at Operation Trust and look at the parallels, but point out the differences and say, well, this is part of Think Mirror, because it kind of is Operation Trust, except it's been upgraded in a Patriot mold and it's been made to invigorize people and activate them, not keep them asleep. And so when you see somebody coming along saying Q is a psyop meant to keep people asleep, that's probably a deep actor, a shill, or a troll. It's certainly not somebody that's read the drops or understands them, because me personally, Q brought me back to Jesus Christ. You know, I've said before, I never went atheist. I was never satanic or anything like that. I was full-blown agnostic. You know, yeah, there's something bigger, but I don't give a shit what it is, and I don't want to learn about it. Okay? Q brought me from that to Jesus Christ and my faith again. Q brought me toward researching so much stuff that I was kind of sniffing around and thought was wrong, but didn't have the pieces to put together. The Saudi Arabia stuff, the Muslim Brotherhood stuff, the pedophile stuff. You know, and I talk about being down the rabbit hole since I was 11, 12 years old. And it wasn't until Pizzagate in 2016 that I realized how sick and evil these people are. Like, until 2016, these people being pedophiles wasn't even a consideration. I just couldn't comprehend people being that evil, right? And Q has helped to expose a lot of this stuff. Q has helped to bring a lot of people to the polls. Q has helped to make a lot of people get involved in their local areas. And this is, of course, Q combined with the messaging of Trump and Flynn and Scavino and Grinnell and all these other people that push these messages. I gave the Operation Trust thing a fair shake. I gave it a look. I researched it. I said, hey, there are some parallels here. But hey, there were a lot of differences too that push the Q operation so far away from being Operation Trust that once you really start digging into it, it's obvious that it was a white hat plan to wake people up, planned to be congruent with Donald Trump's presidency, because he was the one that could be in office with the thick skin that could take the attacks, take the shots, take the hate, and continue driving the message forward to wake more people up. That's the way I see it. And look, brother, if we're wrong, I'll own that shit. I will 100% own it, but I don't at all discern that that's where we are. I seriously discern that these people are panicking. These people, we've brought the wood to them, man. We've taken them to the woodshed over the last 8 years, and we got to keep doing it. And it's all been because of this, man. None of us have raised a firearm. None of us have went and torn down any properties. None of us have the most egregious thing people on our side have done has went and walked within the ropes at the Capitol on J6. Okay? We've not broken the law. We've not went to chaos. We've done it with truth and knowledge, because knowledge is power, and that's how we do it.
Susan, I would guess it's a lot of you, and I'm super grateful that you're here. Abs, you know what was my biggest stickler for that whole trying to parallel the two, like as if they're the same, package them as if they're the same operation. Operation Trust was one of the primary reasons for it was to flush out the conservatives so that the government knew who they were, so they could then silence or take care or arrest them, right? And there's exactly zero reason for that today, because we're all on the internet. I'm sure I could say hi to whatever feds are assigned to me right now. You know what I mean? Hey. Right. So there's exactly zero reason to have to flush out what would be a 99% digital soldier army, right? They know where we are. They know what we're saying, and they know what we're doing.
Right.
Which is also a great point as to how I believe they're not in control. If they were, we wouldn't be on Twitter. My account certainly wouldn't have gotten the recognition it did.
I agree.
Let me take
100%
just before, because I know you have something big I'm really interested in hearing. I didn't quite get to it on your last show yet, just because I was so busy this morning. And I have one real big thing I want to present to you, and then maybe some fun stuff at the end. I don't normally go this long before I say thank you to the people that are supporting the show, but I wanted to do that real quick, and I wanted to do it today in a fun way. Did you see Mike Lindell?
I did.
Bro.
I did. It's simultaneously the best and worst disguise I've ever seen. It's like anybody that's ever seen the dude for 5 seconds is going to realize even sans mustache, that's probably Mike Lindell, but God bless him for doing it, brother.
It is the funniest. It's the funniest thing I've seen in a long time. So Mike, he shaved his mustache off. And he put on this hat and sunglasses, and he went to the DNC. Just so you know, Mike Lindell was the very first to support this show. So if you go support Mike Lindell at mypillow.com, please use promo code Rambo. It helps me as well, and helps me continue to do these shows and have these great guests on. But look at Mike. This is so funny.
Anyway, I'm in a calmer area. They're on to me. They figured out who I am, but these people around us, which there isn't too many, it was kind of strange. After when we went to break, a lot of people came up and wanted pictures with me, and so there are, there's I guess where their pillow overrides their hatred, and so it's really something. And I've been accused of just about everything in here so far. That's an advertisement for a good pillow when they hate someone so much like myself and Donald Trump that they bring up both of us here but yet the ones that have the pillow, they're a little calmer. And so anyway,
have you been able to have any thoughtful discussions? Like, I'm curious how they feel about the southern border, how they feel about the fentanyl deaths.
Right. I brought the only civil conversation was with Donnie on CNN.
There's no disguising that voice, bro.
With Alan, Facebook fact checker, but all the other ones in this building, it's like now they know I'm here. It's hit
the Panama Jack hat does it for me, brother.
This guy at the end of the conversation going, they just say, "Why do you lie? Why do you lie? Why do you lie?" And I said, how do you market Kamala Harris when are you going to say I'm going to fix what I wrecked in this country?
That was gold. It's gold. I could watch him do that all day long.
That's great. I mean, God bless him for doing it, man. The disguise probably lasted for about 5 minutes, but God bless him for doing it. It's kind of like the James O'Keefe thing. Like, how can anybody go out to dinner with James O'Keefe and not realize it's James O'Keefe at this point? It's like the dude puts on he literally breaks out the Clark Kent disguise and everybody's fooled by it. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's really funny. So if you want to enjoy up to 80% off on Mike Lindell's products, which are amazing, by the way. I'm not actually kidding at all. Mike, when he sponsors your show, do you guys have Mike?
Yes.
He sends you basically anything you want so that you can try it and promote it and sell it. So, Kim's got a robe. We got the big pillow, the small pillow, the dog bed, the slippers. I mean, the dude really hooks it up. And then, and I will say, I was completely impressed with every single thing I got. I'm not even kidding.
So I got the pillow first, right? And then the rep messaged again. It was like, "Hey, you didn't finish telling us what you wanted." I was like, "Told you I wanted the pillow." And the rep was like, "No, you can pick this, and this too." And I was like, "Oh, well, shit, let's go ahead and get the bed sheets, the comforter, and the slippers as well." And those slippers, dude, they rarely leave my feet, especially in the winter. I will legit go out and about with those damn slippers on. I don't care.
Dude, do you know what? This is weird to say. People are probably going to laugh at me, but my favorite thing are the flip-flops, and I don't wear them all the time. Like, I'm a flip-flop guy. I wear flip-flops almost all year round.
You look like a flip-flop guy.
I am, right? Even in the snow, I wear flip-flops. But I don't wear his flip-flops everywhere. I have a phobia because of rehab and jail where I will not get like in a shower without especially a public shower, right? We go camping a lot.
Oh, you have to. In the public shower, you've got to wear
Yeah,
flip flops.
I do not go into showers barefoot, right? So
No.
that's what I use the Mike Lindell flip flops for, and they're freaking great for it. I love them. I love them. They're my favorite thing.
I'm the same way. Mine comes from all the hockey playing though. And it's like you catch one fungal infection on your feet from a dirty ass shower, you're not walking in that shower barefoot again, brother. I'm telling you right now. But no, it's the products are so damn comfortable, man. And the comforter, I don't know how they managed to make a comforter that keeps you warm in the winter and cool in the summer, but by God, they did it. I don't know how they did it, but they did it.
This might be the biggest commercial Mike Lindell's ever got.
Right?
On this
Love
show,
you, Mike.
Sure. Love you, Mike. All right. So, and then the other one that I'm absolutely falling in love with, except for the girls keep stealing my rainfall. So this is Patrick Gunnell's project. So, if you want to detoxify from all the nasty chemicals and metals that they've sprayed in our atmosphere, the rainfall, the girls keep stealing from me. So I haven't tried it nearly as much, but there's all types of detoxifying products on here. The one thing I didn't get, but I really want to, is the soap. I'm a big bar soap guy. All the girls use their little loofahs or whatever. I don't do that. I'm a bar soap guy. So don't drop the soap. I love bar soap. So the natural handmade soap collection will be the next thing that I purchase for myself. But the creamy body butter, the girls seem to love. The rainfall, the girls have basically stolen from me. And I am the one doing the detoxification program. I will let you guys know if I start to feel anything good come of it. But I will tell you that Patrick absolutely 100%, from my conversations with him, believes that he's saving the world. I mean, he thinks he's changing lives. So I think Patrick is a patriot through and through. So if you want to support not only Patrick and this show and do something really nice for yourself, I highly suggest going to epicminerals.net. Same thing, promo code Rambo. So,
all right. Patrick has become one of my absolute favorite people on this planet, man. Patrick is very strongly opinionated, but Patrick is also very, very honest. And Patrick has one of the biggest and goldest hearts you're going to find in this movement. He sent me and Barbara some rainfall too, man. And for the past, it hasn't been something I've dealt with my entire adult life. Maybe the past 6 or 7 years, I have had exceptionally bad eczema under my beard and on my scalp. Nothing has taken care of this shit, brother. I got the rainfall in, started using it after every shower on my beard and on my scalp. And within a week to 2 weeks, eczema is basically gone, dude. I haven't had a single outbreak the entire time I've been using rainfall. That, to me, when Patrick says he's affecting lives, I'm just telling you, like, it's not like the eczema ever weighs you down or keeps you from doing things, but it gets very frustrating, always dealing with itching and, you know, the flakiness, and it makes you feel dirty despite how clean you are. And it really can beat your morale up. And so from that standpoint, as superficial or as menial as it may seem, finding something that actually put a dent in that eczema and seem to stop it is huge for me, dude. I absolutely love this stuff. And I'm certainly not a man bitch, but men have skin too, and we do like to take care of it. So, you know, it's I can't say enough good things about him or that product, man.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to say, look, Patrick, maybe you can get this to John, right? I think you guys should have a 3 a.m. infomercial show, and it should be Patrick.
Like those old school infomercial shows you used to watch when you were like 11, 12 years old, couldn't sleep at 3 a.m. You're flipping the channels and you come up on Billy Mays with some brand new cleaning shit that's cleaning this tile that was dirt nasty. And you're like, oh my God, I'm going to watch this for a minute.
Patrick can be selling ShamWow and, like, you know, weight loss pills.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, no, I truly think that he's such a good salesman that I think he should be doing that. But at the same time, I think you're right. The dude's honest. He's not going to come out here selling something he doesn't believe in. So, yeah, no, I think his slightly effeminate salesman presentation is second to none. Second to none.
Knows his face, bro. He knows who's going to be buying the stuff.
Yeah.
I don't mean any insult, but you know.
I gotta have him on so I can pick on him to his face and not behind his back. All right, so we each have one large thing. Do you want to go first? You want me to go first? I would love to hear.
I want phrasing. I'm not showing my large thing on camera. Okay. No, I've got man. No, we on Eye of the Storm Tuesday night, man. I was putting the review together, and I kind of feel like a retard because I'm certain I'm not the first person that caught this in this picture. I just hadn't seen anybody else do so to this point. And it's the if you're watching the show, you're probably a fan of Q, and you're aware of the period in the drops where they legit launched a missile at Air Force One and tried to take it down after the North Korea Kim Jong-un summit in Singapore. And so that section of the drops came up in the review Tuesday night, and I noticed something that just made me go, holy shit. Like, this is one of the bigger things in the drops that I've never noticed. So, that's about all the setup I got for it. We can get into it. It's slides from Eye of the Storm, so just going to put the disclaimer out there that Joe is not affiliated with Badlands. This is not a subset of Eye of the Storm. It's just me being too lazy to put together new graphics for another show with the same shit when I could just re-show the same ones I've already built.
Yeah, you're good, bro.
So the first one I'm going to pull up, man, this is from drop 1469, and this is a couple drops before it really starts, right? But the groundwork's being laid here for what you're about to be shown by the Q team. And so an Anon had replied to Q, and he says, all the POTUS tweets changing council equals CS CrowdStrike. So number one, I found the timing of CrowdStrike coming up in the review right now to be pretty interesting, because we just had a major CrowdStrike incident a couple weeks ago. And this Anon shares a tweet from Donald Trump. And Trump says, the fact that I'm having a meeting is a major loss for the U.S., say the haters and losers. And I highlighted the next part for a reason, because he says, we have our hostages, testing, research, and all missile launches have stopped. Now, the interesting thing is there's a missing P in stopped. We're told misspellings matter. Now, sometimes you'll find the letter and figure out what the missing letter was pointing to. Sometimes when there's a misspelling, all it's doing is simply saying, pay attention to what's being said here. So Trump talking about missile launches have stopped. Why is that interesting? Well, let's have a look. Over on the right, there is a prior Q drop where Q says missile, Fox 3 splash as the world turns red October Q. So Q, well ahead of time in December of 2017, was pointing toward missiles, splashes, Fox 3, things that play into missiles being launched and attacks being levied, right? So let me move a couple more down. Nope, not that one. It's right here. So here we go up to drop 1472. And this is a picture that later in the drops Q confirms is coming from Air Force One over Alaska as they're on their way back from the Singapore summit. I've seen this drop dozens of times, bro. I've looked at this drop dozens of times. Never noticed that black speck off in the distance that's above the cloud line. Almost looks like a little itty bitty poof of smoke, right? You zoom in on it. Bro, I have reason to believe that's a picture of the missile that was coming for Air Force One. Think about what that means for a moment. Not only did White Hats knew that this missile was going to be launched, they knew where the fuck it was coming from so they could take a picture of it before it was destroyed. Think about the message that sends to the deep state that tried to take Trump out at the time, right? And I'm not going to 100% say that's the missile because I can't clear the photo up well enough to tell. But I'm going to say 90% that's something coming for that airplane, brother. So we click on. And so immediately after this drop, right, Q drops 2 stringers. Now, we know that not all the stringers, matter of fact, basically none of the stringers are intended for us. These stringers are intended for operators out in the field, right? The second one over there from 1474, the very top says Fox M1 stolen takedown. I don't know what that means, but M1 could be missile, stolen apparatus to launch a missile per se, right? So we get into this, and then immediately after the stringers and after the picture of something that appears to be flying toward the plane, we get a drop from Trump himself saying Godspeed one and all. So something is definitely going on here, right? Something has went active. Operators have went active in response to a perceived threat against the president. So we move forward, and this is the drop that this is all building towards. This is taken from Whidbey Island in Seattle or in Washington, and Whidbey Island has a naval base at it. And Q replies and says, this is not a game. Certain events were not supposed to take place. There's another missing letter there, by the way. The D from supposed is missing. So does that D stand for DEFCON? Does it stand for denuclearization? Because that's what just happened in North Korea. Don't know. I don't know what the D stands for. All that I know is that it was missing. So again, pay attention to these posts. So if we move on, let me play this short 43-second video clip from the local news station in Washington that first reported on this. Of course, it's Q13 News. It couldn't have been Q17 just to make it a little bit more in our face. But let's have a quick look at what these folks say about this instance.
Is it a lens flare? Could it be a missile? Well, let's show it to you. Weather camera snapped the photo on Kitsap Peninsula Sunday morning. There on the left of your screen, you can see there's a flash in the sky. The photographer saw the photo, zoomed in on the mysterious object at the front of it. Some say it appears to be some sort of missile launched near the naval base on Whidbey Island. Well, the Navy says There is no missile capabilities on base, and the
Sure
object
enough,
did
ain't.
not come from the base.
Sure enough,
Meteor
didn't.
experts say it wasn't a meteor, and other organizations like NOAA say they don't know what it is either.
Because it's a missile. And look, she was honest in one part in there. The missile didn't come from Whidbey Island, and the missile didn't come from the naval base at Whidbey Island, but we're going to get to that in a minute. So an Anon replies after that and says, supposed missing D, and Q replies with a D in quotes, a capital D in quotes. So I tie it back to the drop where Q did not include the D in supposed. Now, Joe had the very interesting DEFCON take Tuesday night that the deep state attacked his plane. They went after Air Force One. That's an act of war, which means even if it's not known to the public, the DEFCON level behind the scenes is going to raise. So perhaps the D points toward the DEFCON level being raised at this point because an attack had been made, or an attempt had been made on President Trump. So on this one, the next drop, 1478, Q says event talk being attacked in reply to an Anon saying he's getting some 502 errors trying to get to the board. At the time, the boards were getting DDoSed heavily because people, the deep state didn't want people seeing that Q had told us 6-7 months ahead of time that the North Korea deal was done, that Trump and Kim had already met, that it was done, that everything that was going on in June of 2018 was theater. It was a complete show. And you and I talked about that as well last time I was on, dude. If white hats could take the puppet state of North Korea away from the deep state, right? But if they could take North Korea away from the deep state and then put on a show for the next 8 months, what can't they do? They just took away the biggest tool. The deep state was keeping North Korea in their back pocket to jumpstart World War III through way of nuclear bombs. Well, Trump and the white hats took that away from the deep state. So if they can do that, what can't they do and then put on a show afterwards for exposure, right? So I've just blown up the picture again here just to kind of make a point of it and draw attention to that thing off in the distance, which I personally believe is a missile. You can believe what you want, but I believe this is white hats telling you this is what they were trying to do to him. And I think this is going to come back around in the future as well. He then tells us to pay attention to a couple Trump tweets of the day. So I went back and looked at the tweets around the time of the Q drops. And what we've got here is Q and Trump bouncing back and forth, which has happened many times before, which is not going to happen if Q is some dude in somebody's basement. All right. And at the time that Q is talking about this stuff and putting up the picture of the plane with something out the window, which may be a missile, Donald Trump's talking about coming home from Singapore, seemingly confirming that those pictures being posted were from Air Force One. At the same time, he's making these tweets talking about heading home and talking to Kim Jong-un and how great that was for the United States. So we go on, and you remember Q telling us pay attention to the POTUS tweets. One of the other tweets from that day, POTUS says, here's the video, a story of opportunity that I shared with Kim Jong-un at the Singapore summit. Well, that video had been shared by Q a couple times, a few drops prior. And that video at the minute and 7-second mark, the narrator says we can bring darkness to light and the future doesn't always have to be the past, right? So right there, Q told you before this video was even dropped, pay attention to a minute and 7 seconds for a marker. And then we got a dark to light and a future proves past marker at a minute and 7 seconds in the same video that Donald Trump shared while all of this is going on with something being launched at the plane. Again, Q isn't a LARP. Okay. So moving on, the last tweet that Donald Trump made in reference to this incident, he says, no more rocket launches in it. Now, of course, that is pertaining to Kim launching his rockets and testing nukes, but we know double meanings exist. So this is almost like Donald Trump saying, yeah, we saw what you did and we caught you and there's going to be no more of this. So this is where it gets interesting because the news lady said, didn't come from Whidbey Island. Navy said it didn't come from the base, right? Because it didn't. It came from a submarine that was hacked. And the thing is, Q puts a picture up of this submarine and he says, reverse image search. Well, you can go reverse image search that image now. You're going to get a lot of returns. But here's what I want you to pay attention to. You'll notice that not one of those returns on the reverse image search for that image of the submarine is going to come back pre-June 12th, 2018. Meaning this pic was original. This pic was not taken off the internet. This was a pic that Q or somebody associated with had taken. And when he says think hack, he's telling you that the deep state used a nuclear submarine. They hacked it and launched a missile at President Trump's plane. Now, let's set aside the absolute retardation you have to possess to believe that one missile could take down Air Force One given its defensive capabilities, right? The audacity to try to do this after the North Korea deal tells you how big that deal was in scuppering any plans they may have had for the future for starting World War III based off of North Korea. And so to me, there is a couple more here. So, I just wanted to kind of bring up the comparisons here, right? So that's what it looks like when a missile's launched from a submarine. So let's Let's go ahead and watch this, and then I'll have a couple more things to hammer this home, and I want to hear your thoughts, Joe. Oh, look, guys, it's a lens flare. Look at that lens flare. Here's another lens flare, guys. Oh, man, those look pretty similar, don't they, Joe?
I'm going to hurt people's feelings, bro.
Sometimes you got to hurt people's feelings, man. So here I've taken some pictures of lens flares, various lens flares. Does that look like a lens flare to you, bro?
Yeah.
Then they also said helicopter spotlight. Doesn't look like a helicopter spotlight either.
I can see why people would try to make the cop out, but you're right. That image on the left, without any description, is a missile.
Yeah, 100. And over at the right, I've zoomed in and enhanced just a little bit. Becomes even clearer that it's a missile.
That is certainly not a light from a helicopter.
No, and this is as best as I could clear it up over there on the right. And that's a missile. That's a rocket. That is something being launched. So, it's my belief that Q was telling us at this time they just tried to take out Air Force One. They tried to do it with a missile from a hacked submarine, which brings the Hunt for Red October stuff right back into play, right? And then, of course, right now you've got Ukraine supposedly taking over the city of Kursk in Russia. Well, you remember the Kursk submarine in 2011 that went down? There's another Hunt for Red October thing. It's all swinging around and connecting, man. It's and this to me is one of the bigger nods of Q saying we're not LARPing, we're not some kid in somebody's basement. We told you 6 months ahead of time the North Korea deal was done. We just told you and showed you proof that they tried to take down the president's plane. At this point, what more do you need to see to know that the Q operation was 100% legitimate, dude? And I'm done. You have at it, brother. What you got?
Well, you know the debate this brings up, right? It brings up the debate of J13 and the assassination attempt. Because all right, this is why I'm going to hurt people's feelings, because there's still a very large portion of the movement, right? This is a divisive topic. I've had whole shows on it where we debated it. But the amount of detail and precision within these drops to communicate something that happened as devastating as a potential assassination attempt through a hacked submarine at Air Force One leads me only further down the potential rabbit hole that the thing we watched on that day on J13 was also a presentation of, obviously, real threats, right? Donald Trump has had multiple assassination attempts on his life. You just presented brilliantly one of them, which was really, honestly, a decode of a presentation given to us by Q Plus himself and the team.
Right.
So I understand, like you and I have had this talk on back channels, text message or whatever.
Absolutely.
I understand your point. Do you want to give your point? Because, well, let me finish saying.
Yeah.
And then I want to hear your point.
Because this is honestly one situation even I'm struggling with a little bit as
we all
guy. So yeah, please let's do it, man. Let's have this conversation because I have thoughts too.
Look, I am as well. I just can't get past the stuff that seemed to predict it, right? Boom, boom, boom. Week to remember. Fight, fight, fight in the drops. I believe that almost, if not everything else that we've looked at, is a presentation of very real threats on this country, on our president, on us specifically as a society, on our children.
Yes.
So for me to then just write off this specific incident as reality and chess moves, the deep state still has some moves in their quiver, like arrows in their quiver or whatever, is difficult for me to grasp. And then when I start seeing things like this on top of it, where, look, Donald Trump has talked about real generals versus TV generals, and that's going to be something I get into after this. I start to believe that there is absolutely 100% a show. And again, when I say show, I mean controlled presentation of reality to motivate we the people. Well, what the hell happened after we saw what I believe, after everything I've looked into, is a controlled presentation of an assassination attempt, which is a very real threat on Donald Trump? It motivated us.
It did.
Every single thing that I have dissected about that day has fit the 5th generation warfare model. Everything. And and I know that the perception can be Donald Trump staged his own assassination attempt, and it can make him look very bad, right? But that is not what I'm saying. Just to re-emphasize before I hear your side of this, I believe that the presentation was a presentation of threats that are very real. How do you show the people? Right? People can't be told, they have to be shown.
Right.
So I am of the belief that we were shown something that was a very real threat so that we could digest it psychologically without burning down the nation, without losing loss, without having loss of life, etc. Go ahead. So you do have a very good point, counterpoint. So do you want to present that?
Dude, I don't disagree at all, because you look at what's happened after the fact. Oh, look, we've got 1960s assassinations back in the news, and people like Trump and General Flynn calling for the truth on those now. Well, how else do you inject that into the conversation unless you have an attempt on Donald Trump that was so obviously set up that you can use it as a narrative? Now, I told you in text, man, the main problem I have with it, if indeed it was completely staged, is using God's name to say he saved you if God didn't do that. To me, that falls under blasphemy. I don't see white hats doing that. At the same point, okay, I believe, and I've said on the show, that we're utilizing Looking Glass. I believe that's a technology that we've gotten a hold of. If in fact they saw what was going to happen beforehand, whether it be through divine providence or Looking Glass or anything like that, then they can then take that situation and game it to their own good and flip it on its head and think mirror. Ultimately, I don't know, and I see Elon's point there, and Elon's been very strong about it's not faked. Enoch,
I don't think Enoch's wrong. I think Enoch's thought process is respectable. Look, I don't disrespect any. All I can do is tell them what I believe to be the truth, and I'm not. Right. When I do that, I'm not discrediting anyone's opinion. I look up to Enoch. I think he's a genius. To be honest with you.
Yeah,
I know that people. Go ahead.
Yeah, I love the dude too. For whatever reason, he won't follow me, but that is what it is. I've done nothing but shout the dude out and give him praise. And even where he's standing on this, I don't disagree with him either. Honestly, my thing is, I don't know where I land yet, bro. And I do have the thing in the back of my head as a Christian and somebody who's read the Bible that you can never, ever, ever underestimate Satan. And there's not one human being on this planet that has the power within themselves to defeat Satan or take away his deceit or trickery or tools from this world. So that's why I say on Eye of the Storm, I do believe the deep state still has moves and power they can make. I don't believe they're completely feckless. Now, do they have the power to pull off something like 9/11? I don't necessarily think so. Do they have the power to completely subvert the president's protection after 7 years and go after him? I don't necessarily believe so, but I also don't necessarily believe that's not a fact either. I think there's ultimately where I land right now, man. I think there's something that we're all missing in relevance to this one. I think that there's a bit of real and a bit of fakery. I think that there's a blending of the two. I think that they knew what was going to come and they played it. I love Enoch, man. And they played it against the enemy. Ultimately I don't know, man. And I've been trying to discern this one for the past month, dude. And I don't know. That said, I certainly don't hate on anybody that thinks it was 100% real. I don't hate on anybody that thinks it was 100% fake. What I'm doing with it, man, is after the fact, looking at what's come since. Like you pointed out, it's reinvigorated the base. It's motivated people. It's taken people that may have been moderate on Donald Trump and forced them to go and support Donald Trump. It's brought up the topics of the 1960s assassinations and how dirty the CIA really is, and what really went on with JFK and RFK Jr. and Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X and all of those people from the 60s that were taken out. So to me, the net effect after the incident is what is more important right now than figuring out if it was real or fake. Look what's happened since the fact. And just for the simple fact that I personally don't want to underestimate Satan and think that he's being fully controlled on this planet, I'm not willing to make the leap and say it's 100% controlled yet, man. But that's not me going against anybody. Like Stormy Patriot Joe thinks it was an event too, okay? But I'm not. I do a show with the dude 3 times a week. Me and him have never butted heads about this. It is what it is. You're allowed to believe what you want in this movement. And look, to have Enoch's back, he stood in his conviction that it's real. And I've seen him take as much shit for saying it's real as I've seen you take shit for saying it was staged. And I'm sitting over here like, can't these guys have their own opinions and put forth their own thoughts, what they believe happened, and we support that? That's because, to my mind, you're brilliant. Enoch's clearly brilliant. Okay, Enoch was cued more than anybody. That's for a reason. It's not because Enoch was taking fucking shots in the dark and getting lucky. No, it's because Enoch knows how to decode, dude. He knows the comms. He knows how to read the board. All right? So I just don't understand where, like when I see you post about it, you get attacked because you're asking the questions, or when Enoch says, no, this was real, and he gets attacked because he's standing in his conviction. That shit just bothers me, man. We're all allowed to have opinions and thoughts. And this one is arguably the most divisive event we've had to deal with in this movement. And so that's why I look to what has happened after the fact, the support it's garnered for Trump, the doors it's opening into past assassinations. That's what's really important to me.
Dude, here's the really cool part about that event and about the differing opinions and about the show and if, whether or not real bullets and it was an inside job or fake bullets and it was a presentation. It doesn't. What's really cool is Enoch, you, me, Stormy Patriot Joe, everyone else that's probably in the chat, all still have the same ultimate goal, and we got through it, right? Like Enoch and I think I offended him because I said something that was rude, right? And we went kind of like back and forth for a minute, but like that's still my boy. And we still have the same ultimate goal of saving this republic. So look, we're going to continue to fight.
Enoch's one of those I haven't met yet, but at some point I'm going to meet him, shake his hand, and I don't drink, but I'm going to buy that man a beer just for everything he's done. And the same thing with him. Me and him have butted heads a couple times, dude. But ultimately, I know he's out there watching. Just know I respect the shit out of you, brother. Like anything said in the heat of the battle was exactly heat of the battle type shit, man. He's one of the OGs, if not the OG of decoding and Q, and you can't help but respect the guy, man. How can you not? There's so many people in this movement that have literally just sacrificed the life they had to go forth with this. You're one of them. Enoch's one of them. Stormy Patriot Joe is one of them. I will never disrespect these people or hate them, man. I can't. It's the whole in a foxhole thing. You could have been in a foxhole in World War I with a dude next to you that back in the States you would have been throwing blows with. But once you come home from that foxhole, that shit doesn't matter. You've bonded over something bigger and fighting for your country, and that's what it's about for me, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I think that what you just put together was brilliant. Like, I'm so stoked that you did that, not only on your show but here for these guys. So thank you very, very much.
Of course, man. Love coming over here with you folks.
Yeah, yesterday, Trump. I pulled a lot of clips for today's show. Let me see if I can find it specifically. Yesterday, Trump said a couple of really intriguing things during his speech. One of which was he used a different term for the pause. He said, I think it was break.
He did, and that, of course, made everybody go Q, saying it's all about the break. And he seemed to put emphasis on the break yesterday when he was saying that too. Like there was a special little pay attention to what I'm saying here.
But my favorite one, I think it's at 1.7 or 1.8 million since I posted it yesterday, is a straight up reference to the boards. As far as I'm concerned, this is not going to be nearly as beautiful a presentation as you put together. This is just Donald Trump's clip and a post that links perfectly to it. And it's something that I've been talking about since I put my face out here to be like, somebody trying to make a ripple within this movement. So first of all, let's listen to Donald Trump yesterday. I listened for the word character, which I found very intriguing. And then when he talks about Kellogg being someone that was there before he ran, and then he says that there was many of them, right? So he also talks about real generals versus TV generals. So take a listen to this.
GOP Chairman Jason Simmons, who's been a friend of ours for a long time. Where's Jason? Nice tall character right here. Thank you very much, Jason. And somebody that's been with me from day one, he's a real general. You know, we have the real generals and we have the fake woke generals that did so poorly in Afghanistan, should have all been fired. But this is a real general, Keith Kellogg. Right, Keith? And this is a great group. It's good to see you, Keith. He's been with me from before day one, right? He said, that guy should run. We got to get him to run. I like those guys who were here before I ran. You know, there's quite a few of them, too. We have the front row, Joe's. You know that?
So he just said General Kellogg he said he should run. And then he said there's quite a few of them.
Huh.
Well, my head started like, dude, synapses were firing. I'm like, calm before the storm. He told us he caught them all right. I'm going through all those things. And then I didn't even put this in my post because sometimes I like to let his speeches speak for themselves because they will get more views without tying a Q drop to it. But there is a post that relates directly to what he just said. 14. Let me make this just a little bit bigger.
Boom.
So in post 14, we have him, we have the picture of Washington crossing the Delaware. And it talks two times in this drop. Was Trump asked to run for president? So let's back up. This goes into Flynn, but why did Adamar NSA meet with Trump privately without authority? Does POTUS know where the bodies are buried? Does POTUS have the goods on most of the bad actors? Why was Trump asked to run for president? Why? By who? Was Hillary Rodham Clinton next in line? Was the election supposed to be rigged? Did good people prevent the rigging? I've said that. How many times on this show have I asked people? I know that you've asked this question before, Paul. If they are so capable of stealing elections, then why was 2016 accidentally not stolen? Because she was not supposed to lose.
She didn't even have a concession speech written up, bro. And that's just basic protocol for both candidates. You have a concession speech written up just in case, just as you have a victory speech written up. She didn't have a concession speech written up. And remember, she didn't even come out and speak that night because she wasn't supposed to lose. They knew she was going to win. I firmly maintain White Hats shut the cheat off. Like, White Hats made sure it was a clean election in 2016 and the people's voice could be heard. So then I go back to what I've said on this show before with you, man. You look at 2016. What was Trump's messaging leading up to the election? We're going to win. We're going to win big. We're going to win. 2020, he told us it was going to be stolen. Not once in 2020 was he out there saying, we're going to win. We're going to win big. He was saying it's going to be stolen. They're going to steal this election. Here in 2024, he's saying we're going to win. We're going to win big. It's going to be too big to rig. I have reason to
let them steal it again.
Right. I have reason to believe either A, they're going to shut the steal off like in 2016. We get a clean election. Some point during the evening of November 5th, we all get to celebrate. Or B, they do try to steal it again. And we find out real quick why Trump has been talking about the military versus TV generals lately, why he's been talking about how important the military is, and why he's been talking about November 5th and that period of time will be the most important period of history for Americans. Why is he saying all of this? So I don't know what's going to happen. One day I wake up and say, I think our guys are going to protect this election, and we've done enough in the fight for election integrity across the country to have a clean election where he's going to steamroll this thing. But then the next day I'll wake up and be, hell no, they're going to steal it, and we're going to see some fucking fireworks this time around. I don't know which way it's going to go, man, but the messaging is there, and this hit is unreal. He absolutely just said, this general asked me to run even before day one.
And there was many of them.
That sounds less than 10 to me.
Dude, listen, the last 3 lines of this post was Trump asked to run for president with assurances made to prevent tampering. How is POTUS always 5 steps ahead? I'll give you an example. The 25th Amendment is of no risk to me. However, we'll come back to haunt Joe Biden and the Biden administration, right? There's a good one.
Right.
Who is helping POTUS? I mean, he literally has gone into speeches now and he has made a meme of himself saying, Trump was always right. Trump was right about everything.
Right. Right. And then he shares that 17-second video the other day of the boat with 45 through 47 on the side and had where we go one, we go all on the side, and the boat was pulling a damn flag that said trust the plan. Do you think Trump didn't see this shit before he shared that video? Of course he saw it. It's a military. They probably edited that video to make it 17 seconds. That's the level of precision we're seeing here.
I have it. Let's play it.
Do it.
Dude, for Trump to play this himself, my version is 15 seconds, but that's because I screen recorded it. Trump posted this himself. The boat says 45-47. It says CIC, and it also says where we go one, we go all.
And then one of the flags on the back says trust the plan.
Trust the plan. All right, let's watch this. Hold on. Let's see if it gets bigger. There we go. What?
I mean, come on.
Our real president.
I mean, come on. Come on, man.
Gold.
That's not a coincidence. You could say it is, fine. I'll respect your opinion. That's not a coincidence. We've seen at this point he's not a stupid man. So he didn't just see that video and go, "Oh, they're playing God Bless the USA and talking about Trump. Let's share that." No, that's not what happened. We get these little dots from time to time to assure us that things are going okay. And, trust the plan has been another phrase that has caught us a lot of heat because, trust the plan means sit at home and do nothing. That's funny. I don't see you telling people to sit at home and do nothing with your over 100,000 followers on Twitter. I don't see Enoch telling people to sit at home and do nothing. I see Enoch putting together get-togethers for Patriots. I don't see anybody at Badlands telling people to sit at home and do nothing. I don't see General Flynn. I don't see Stormy Patriot Joe. I don't see Awakened Outlaw. I don't see any of these dudes. I don't see any of the big influencers in this movement, sans the shills, and we know who they are, telling people to stay at home and do nothing. I see the opposite. I see all of us telling people to go get involved. Go volunteer to be poll workers. Go get involved in your city council meetings. If you don't like who represents you, go run yourself. There are millions of options to locally get involved that have a national impact, and plenty of influencers have done that. So I don't know where I do know where it's coming from. It's coming from shills to try to discredit Q, but I don't, it's not there. None of us are sitting there telling people to do nothing. None of us are sitting there. Maybe back in 2020, some of us got hard dicked and said, here it comes. The military is going to come end all this now. We were wrong. And we all got taught a very big lesson in bravado and ego back then, right? None of us are doing that shit this time around. It's all us. We are the plan. Trust the plan. Trust yourselves and trust God. That's the plan. Us and God. And Q made that very, very evident in quite a few drops too, where he inferred and reposted things from Anons talking about we being the plan and God being the plan. Q affirmed that shit. And nowhere in the drops did Q say either that we were to sit home and do nothing. So that's, I went on that tangent because I saw a couple people in comments yesterday when Trump shared the video of trust the plan, and you obviously had your shills popping in the weed media chat. Here we go, trust the plan again, sit home and do nothing. And I'm over here like none of us has told any of you to sit home and do nothing. The only influencers telling you to sit home and do nothing are flat out shills at this point and bad actors. There's no in between.
This is my favorite example of that. I use it all the time. I'm sure people are probably sick of us seeing it on the show, to be honest with you, but 4511 says this has never been attempted. The use of the general public to counter the narrative propaganda pushed by controlled media. In my opinion, what that means is they are weaponizing we the people. They are activating us.
Go
ahead.
I said ages ago, and I know you'll agree, folks, the Q operation in part was to train all of us to be little intel assets to get around the mainstream media. That's why he went to 4chan in the first place, because 4chan already had a reputation for being full of people that could get down to the truth no matter what detail was obfuscated. They would find the damn truth. That's why he went to 4chan. That, and of course, it being completely encrypted and anonymous. But yeah, you nailed it, dude. That's what the Q operation was. It literally turned millions of us into little intel operatives, into little agents that could dig around and find the truth, man. And that's, again, why I say it was not Operation Trust, man.
Yeah, it's literally the opposite. It tells us to vote a whole handful of times. It talks about unity, 32 times, I think, off the top of my head. It talks legitimately the whole message on the boards when you get through the different comms that might not have been for us is literally to be active, to stand up and do something to save your country. There's nothing about it. Trusting the plan I think this is my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. You know that moment in the middle where everybody was wrong and Trump didn't, King Trump didn't like walk in with the military and take his throne back, and everybody we kind of went through that lull in the middle, which is I wasn't even out publicly as being obsessed with this movement yet at that point, so it was hard for me, and because I don't forget the things that we saw, that inauguration will never be real to me. It just never will. So even when everybody felt defeated, right? Joanne left. Right, amazing people that fought so hard got tired and felt broken, like they were wrong. I didn't quit because they showed me too much. I learned too much from those guys, and so I kept looking and kept looking and kept looking. Well, it literally has never stopped. I think that Q used us to head fake the deep state as part of the sting operation. Does that make sense? I've heard it described that way, and I agree with it.
Absolutely.
It's almost like they armed us with all this information, and they used all this hype. Look, maybe people will disagree with me on this, but I think January 6th, if you just heard my description of J13, you'll understand my description of January 6th. Donald Trump invited us all there. Most of it was complete setup. The cops pulled the gates in, right? They basically escorted people into the Capitol. Yes, there was some chaos. There was some extra things that happened. I think the energy level brought it there. But that brings me to the videos, the 4POG videos. We are everywhere. Everything we touch is a weapon. They show you the Berlin Wall coming down in Ghost in the Machine #1.
Well, you remember that?
I believe. Go ahead.
You remember that day on J6 too, before he went out there and spoke, he's backstage with that red folder, waving it around, smiling like the damn Cheshire cat. What was in the red folder? I kind of think it may have been their communication setting up J6 against him, and he already had them from the jump. That's probably why he was an hour and a half late to speak, because he was keeping people from going over to the Capitol. He actually saved people by talking longer. And then you remember, before he got off stage, he said, "You peacefully protest, by the book, law and order." And of course, they scrubbed that from Twitter because they didn't want that being seen that day. But I firmly believe he knew what they were going to do on the day, and he's turned it against them, especially as we've seen the truth coming out. And I firmly believe at some point that all the J6ers, the benevolent ones that are sitting in jail, will be freed, and not just freed, but the restitution is going to be huge. They're going to get restitution for the time that they've had stolen from them. Now, I'm going to say this, and this is an unpopular opinion that's going to hurt some feelings. I do not believe that every J6 prisoner in jail is a benevolent patriot either. I believe that some of them that are still sitting in jail were probably legitimate infiltrators and terrorists trying to take down this country, which may be why some of them are still sitting in jail. Now, that said, I absolutely believe there are innocent people in there too. And we've had friends in the movement we've seen go through legal processes and serve jail time because of it. So I'm not suggesting it was fake. Innocent people got caught up in it and ended up going to jail, but it's all going to boomerang. I'm telling you right now, it's going to boomerang big.
Do you want to know why I agree with you 100%? Because I know some of them that were unjustly persecuted, like Payanon, right? Just as use him as an example. However, I also have listened obsessively to every word that Donald Trump has said. I have used my best discernment to try to figure out when he's hinting at truth and when he's actually telling the truth to the masses. And he has said on multiple occasions that if people that are locked up are patriots and they were there for the right reasons, then they will be taken care of. They'll be released. And he also said that some people may have broken the law, and we are a movement of law and order. So unfortunately, in moments like that, it's possible to break the law. I think I've broken the law probably more than anybody watching this show, right? I have had to pay my debt to society for breaking the law. And if I was caught on all of those occasions, I would not be here. Right? That's just the truth.
It's another unpopular opinion. And I'm glad you brought that up because I'm in the same area as well. I feel terrible for the innocent people that got caught up in this. But the fact of the matter is this, as it pertains to the Capitol. Yes, you can enter the Capitol and watch sessions as they're going on in the Capitol. You need a pass to do so. You have to purchase a pass to do that. Otherwise, you're trespassing on the Capitol. So I know people aren't going to want to hear this, and it doesn't make it right that these people were persecuted for going in to the extent that they were. But folks who went in sans a pass while a session was going on technically broke the law. And Donald Trump pointed toward that. Now, did they deserve jail time for that? No. They didn't deserve jail time for that shit. Maybe a slap on the wrist, a ticket, a warning, something, but not jail time. But there were certainly people in there as well. And I'm not going to assume they were all bad actors. There were probably some folks of ours that were just reacting out of emotion. And I'm not saying that's bad. We're humans. We do that, dude. Especially when you're pissed off in that hyper of an environment, right? There were some of our folks in there that absolutely threw some things around, took a laptop and smashed it, threw some chairs around. That's technically breaking the law. And Trump has told us from the day, law and order, by the book. We don't act like them. So again, these people deserve to be in prison for years for this shit? Hell no. Do they deserve to have their lives ruined? No. But I think the overarching thing here is we have this is why I say on Eye of the Storm, you have to go by the book. You cannot play to their level because they will use it against you. They'll let their people destroy shit and tear things up and not spend a day in jail. The minute a conservative does the same thing, you've just given these Bolshevik assholes all the ammunition they need to throw you away and throw away the lock and key, all of it. And it sucks. It's terrible because you get to watch these people go and tear things up and you can't fight in equal measure or else your ass goes to jail. But I think that's part of the reason that Donald Trump was so hard up about by the book and law and order and that we can do this with our intelligence and voices. And so J6 was a black eye for many, many reasons. It was absolutely a black eye for this country, but not for the reasons that they are saying it was. It was a black eye for this country because the deep state stole a duly elected election. They put patriots in jail. They used lawfare and persecuted people to the 10th degree of the law that did not deserve it. You know, I know a wonderful patriot that spent 4 months in prison in California for simply, she had the video and everything, dude. All she did was walk in, she stayed within the lines and walked around. 4 months in prison. That's ridiculous to take 4 months of somebody's life because they walked into a Capitol building and walked around. That's one of those instances where I'm talking about, was it illegal? Technically. Well, not technically, because she didn't even go into the chambers where the session was going. So she didn't even break the law, bro, but they still use it against her to put her in prison. So those are the people that, dozens of these folks, hundreds of them, my heart breaks for those people. There are other people who legit broke the law. And then there are other people that were actual infiltrators that were trying to take down the country that day. And
I'm about to ask you something that's a difficult question. So I've heard JF Non-Smart Paul, right? You know them. He came on with them one time.
Love those guys.
And they're pretty quick to use the logic behind acceptable losses, right? So like we go to, this country has been told they're going to war over and over and over throughout history. And we send our children, right? Our grandparents sent their children, our parents sent theirs, and so on to war for what they thought were legitimate reasons. And you're now putting your family, your neighbors, other Americans at risk of losing their life for an ultimate reason. Do you think that this falls into that category? Right. Look, let me expand just a little bit more. We have seen PSYOP on top of PSYOP on top of PSYOP since before Joe Biden stole the election, right? Yep. The inauguration PSYOP, the fences around DC PSYOP, the 25,000 National Guard. What were they? They were what the hell am I trying to say? When they were given the rights as marshals,
right? When they were deputized.
Thank you. Deputized as marshals. We watched Donald Trump leave with the nuclear football. We watched Joe Biden on soundstage and green screen and CGI sign 17 executive orders. We saw all the shipping halted, right? There was no boats coming in. Everybody ran and bought up all the toilet paper. And then we've watched how bad they've done for the last 4 years, which is exactly the pause. It's PSYOP on top of PSYOP. Look, can I ask you this? Did Ashley Babbitt die, in your opinion?
I don't think so. And I know that's an unpopular one. And I know that I will probably get shit for that. But
I don't either.
And I have a very good explanation for why I don't buy it, and that is it's exposing myself a little bit and some of the dark shit I used to be enamored by back in the day. But early 20s through my 20s, I had no qualms about checking out rotten.com or Ogrish or Live Leak or going to watch people die on Reddit and watching just it basically I was watching Faces of Death except the real versions, right? I've seen dozens of people in these videos get shot in the face, in the neck. When you get shot in the neck and the jugular, there's gonna be a hell of a lot more blood than was on the ground with her.
I got an example. Some, at least some of our audience has probably seen. Who remembers Bud Dwyer?
Yep. That's what that
Who
filter
remembers-
song, Hey Man, Nice Shot, is about, by the way.
Hey Man, Nice Shot. Bud Dwyer on live television. He was accused of money laundering or some other corruption, if I remember right. And
Yep.
Bud Dwyer on live television pulled a revolver out of a manila envelope after giving envelopes out to people he cared about. He pulled a revolver out of a manila envelope, put it in his mouth, and shot himself in the head on live television. So I'm sure some people have seen it. It is still in the deep, dark corners of the internet. You can find it. That was a real death on live TV. If you've never seen one, that is a good example. I don't encourage people with a weak stomach to go watch that video.
No, it's pretty disturbing.
It's very disturbing. What we watched with Ashley Babbitt, and I would even argue J13, was not that.
Yeah, that's where my problem comes from. It is the evidence around the fact is that the Bud Dwyer thing, dude, and you told people it's disturbing, so I'm not encouraging people to go find it. But when he does it, it's like somebody literally turned on a faucet full blast from his nose and his mouth for the next 90 seconds.
It's giving me anxiety to even think about it. It is bad.
Terrible. It's bad. And so my point is, the Ashley Babbitt one wasn't that, but she's supposedly shot in the jugular at close range. I'm into firearms, bro. I shoot a lot. I see the damage a bullet can do at close range to the throat. Where was, I don't know. And if she is really dead, then I apologize and I'll eat my crow and I'll get down on my hands and knees and ask for forgiveness from Christ Almighty. But I'm not getting it from this one, man. And there are other ones where I'm like, yeah, that person's dead. That really happened. I don't buy into everybody is alive or everybody's dead. I don't buy into that shit. But with this one specifically, I just didn't see it. Like where was all the blood congruent with the wound? It just didn't make sense to me, man. It was what gets me, and I said it a couple weeks on this show, is when we had things like, the old school conspiracy people here, when the Boston Marathon bombing happened, okay, it was okay to tear that apart and ask questions and eventually come to the conclusion that was a show too, except put on by the bad guys to try to kind of game and test how easily it would be to throw martial law on somebody and enter their homes without their okay, right? Then you get to Uvalde, same thing, okay? Sandy Hook, same shit, all right? But when it comes to incidents that involve patriots, all of a sudden, that's the red line. We can't ask questions about what we're seeing, whether it be Babbitt or Trump or Comparatori. It doesn't matter. We're not allowed to ask those questions. Why? And so the answer why, and I'm sorry if this hurts some feelings, but it's because of your own cognitive dissonance. You don't want to accept the fact that maybe even to a degree we're being played by our own people to advance a bigger agenda to save this country and the world. We are at war. I don't know how
I brought up acceptable losses. Keep going.
Yeah, we are at war. And I don't mean to sound heartless or cold, but collateral damage is a part of war. White hats and the good guys are here to save as much life as possible, to save society and turn the deep state on its head. That does not mean that, unfortunately, some people won't get caught up in the crossfire. They try to mitigate that and minimize it to the very best of their ability. And I think they have done an amazing job given all the shit we faced. Unfortunately, as in any war, somebody is gonna have to pay the price. And I hate to say that. My heart hurts for these people. I pray for the people that have been caught up in the crossfire. Plenty of us have been caught up in it. My personal life has not been unaffected by all this shit going on. I know yours hasn't. I'm willing to bet all the 1,480 people watching on Twitter have not gone unscathed. All the people watching on Rumble have not gone unscathed. Nobody in this movement's been untouched by bad shit happening to them because of this war we were in. The sad fact of the matter is that some of us have been touched harder than others. And I hate that. I absolutely hate it. But we were also told it had to be this way. And I know some people are going to disagree with that. But if you go and read the Bible, anytime there's a course of correction, there is a whole lot of strife and chaos beforehand, man. And that's, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. But it's where we're at, in my opinion, man, is collateral damage exists. acceptable losses exist. And that's not white hats saying we deem you as useless or with no value, so we can let you go. It's not that. It's them going into an operation saying, well, we might lose this many to this many people. Is that frame of loss acceptable for the end goal? Same thing as with the D-Day invasion, right? We had to do that at the perfect time on the perfect day to minimize loss. But they knew going into it there was going to be loss. We just have to minimize it. And it's kind of where we're at in this operation, I believe. And I think we've seen a lot of it to this point, man.
Paul, do you know I could argue that George Floyd didn't die either?
I've heard that argument. I've heard that argument as well.
Can I show you a clip?
Yeah, go for it.
Bro, hold on, that didn't work. Let me make sure this pulls up quick.
I know from my point of view, from my standpoint, being a self-defense person, kneeling on the neck like that did not kill him.
What was the cop's name?
Derek Chauvin.
Okay, so here's Derek in court. Check this out.
Mr. Chauvin, this is your opportunity if you wish to give any input to the court. And so I turn it over to you and your attorney.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, due to some additional legal matters at hand, I'm not able to give a full formal statement at this time. But very briefly, though, I do want to give my condolences to the Floyd family. There's going to be some other information in the future that would be of interest. And I hope things will give you some peace of mind.
What the fuck?
And I'll note that I did read your comments in the pre-sentence investigation as well.
Thanks, friend.
Huh?
Right. I wrote a whole thread on it. That was months ago.
Huh? Did he just say there's going to be... I've never seen that. He just
Of
say
course, because nobody talked about it. It wasn't anywhere. My thread's the only one I saw on it.
There's going to be some things in the future that... I'm sorry, what?
I've argued that
I don't think I have the clip loaded over here on your StreamYard, or I'd play it. The clip from the Wolf of Wall Street where the dude's like, "Can you say that again exactly how you just said it?"
Right.
That's
right.
unreal. That's unreal.
He said that in court, and then he went to jail for some lighter sentence. It's almost as if Chauvin was already in trouble for something. This is a thread I wrote a while back, so I'm going off the top of my head, but it looked like Chauvin got in trouble for something and then was used as a pawn in a psyop and to get a lower plea sentence. That's what it looked like.
I could believe it. I could believe it, especially if it ends up having the kind of boomerang down the road we think it will. I mean, and we have to be willing to understand as well that some of this stuff may take years to unfold. I mean, to me, I took Think Mirror much bigger than I think a lot of people did. You know, I understand the deep state, this criminal syndicate, has used false flags and things like this for ages to control society. There have been people involved in their plan that say back in the 1800s, they knew they weren't going to be alive to see the complete totalitarian takeover of this world, but they were still happy to take part in that plan and play a role in it for when it did come to fruition, right? White hats have had to do the same thing. And so there are some of these things which may not come to light for years. It may take its time to boomerang back around, but I do think that's an important point to make. I did know that Chauvin and Floyd knew each other prior. That's a very interesting point to make. But yeah, I think that a lot of this stuff is going to come back around, but I don't think some of it's going to come around as quickly as we would like for it to.
Mm-mm. I think some of it happens right in front of our faces, right? So it happens right in front of our faces, and then there's the cover up psyop story that also happens at the same time. I think that can be argued for Ruby Freeman and her daughter. So Ruby Freeman and her daughter were basically accused and convicted the same day that Joe Biden gave her an award. It's like they covered up the real story with this presentation psyop, Joe Biden, fake Joe Biden administration, at the same exact time. so that they wouldn't fully expose the stolen 2020 election that Donald Trump told us he has the evidence for, and it's determinative.
Right. That tells me it'll be sprung at the right time. Who knows when that'll be? But I believe him when he says we got it, like we caught them all. If you ever seen that movie The Sting with Paul Newman, that's pretty much what's going on here, in my opinion.
Well, I started this thing yesterday with AO that I actually used to do a while back for our last, what do we got, like a half hour or so. I started going back through my archives. This is kind of like a hindsight is 2020 type of thing, right? Because Donald Trump has told us so often, in my opinion, what's really happening. I think that this is something I said yesterday, but it's a recap for you so you understand the concept. I think that these moments where Donald Trump speaks out of like both sides of his mouth, or maybe he speaks to different audiences at the same time, is a better way to describe it. I think it proves what the drops told us, where we couldn't just be told, we had to be shown, because Donald Trump has told us they were going to steal the election. He has told us that they were going to flood the country at the border. He's told us over and over and over all of it, and nothing ever changed. Now we're being shown, and everybody's getting a fire under their ass, and they want to stand up and do something about it. Well, to me, that's trust the plan. The plan's working. That's why we're being activated. But I like to go back through those moments. Some people call them clickbaity, right? If you look at them standalone, they can be written off with, enough logic and mental gymnastics that Donald Trump really meant this, right? Joe Biden shot. Well, you watch a football player and he blows his knee out, his knee's shot, right? So we can all write that one off, except for that he does it repeatedly over and over and over and over again, right? So I pulled 4 clips for today's show, and I just want to get you. Yesterday it was easy because AO is such a logical dude, so I was like, "Yo, give me a logical explanation to these clips," right? So I have 4 for today, and I'm going to ask you the same thing. So I'm going to go through a couple, and I just want you to give me your logical explanation for what you think you're seeing him say. Is that cool?
Yep.
My man. All right. So here's the first one. One of 4, and I think they tell a story in a row. But I want to hear what you have to say.
28 billion from China. China pays Biden directly. Okay? We're just trying to find out how much. Most corrupt president we've ever had by far, and the most incompetent. And I never used to talk that way. It's true. But you wouldn't say that because I respect the office too much. But now I hit him differently than I would. Because they did something to me that's never been done before. They indicted me because I protested a crooked election. They indicted me. They go after people for years. Do you notice they never go after people that rigged the election? They go after people that are complaining about the rigging. Did anybody see anybody with all the things and all the facts we have? And you'll be seeing them come out because we never forget. History, you have to remember, history is a very important word. But they indicted me once, twice, 3, 4. I think they stopped. I heard they were going to do a couple of more, but they said, don't do any more because my poll numbers have shot up.
All right. That's a loaded one from beginning to end. There's a lot in there.
The first thing I caught, what he's telling you they're using Biden to find out where the money in China is coming from.
Right.
The second one that caught me was oh shit, what was immediately after that? I done had a brain fart.
Well, he said we're just trying to find out how much. That leads me to believe that they're under investigation. Then he talked about they indicted him.
Right, precedent, setting precedents, because he threw in right there as well. I always said I respected the office too much. Now I've got to play it different because the precedent's been set. And he said before he went into office, he was asked about Hillary and Obama, all that. And I don't have the clip handy, but said the same thing then a few years ago. I have too much respect for the office to go after a former president. Well, I think that respect's pretty much shot after they've indicted him so many times. The precedent has been set. So now he can do the same thing right back to them. That's what I got. They're using Joe to find out where it's all coming from, and he's using himself to set a precedent to go right back after these people.
Can I add to that, though? Because just recently, he said, I didn't want to... He's now separating himself from it again. He said, when I had the option to push for the prosecution of Hillary, he's saying that I chose not to put the wife of a former president in jail. He also came out and said that Joe Biden's angrier now at them than he is at him. I am starting to connect the dots that not only is Joe Biden exposing because he's being exposed, he's going to be used to actually expose the 2020 election.
What if that's what he meant by he's shot? What if that's what he meant when he said Biden was shot? Not literally, but we've got him. We're going to use him to get you guys now.
Right.
So that's an option to me.
I honestly, part of me was watching the DNC when he spoke, like out of the side of my eye, really hoping that he would be like, F all you, I want my position back. You guys stole the election. Now you're stealing it from me.
Right.
Like I kind of expected that. And I still anticipate that as being a very good possibility. All
yeah.
right,
And then there's Trump rolling around saying he's got something on Kamala too, that's going to drop at the right time. So I'm interested in, is that smoke and mirrors or is that legit? You know?
I don't think there's much smoke and mirror with Donald Trump. I think he's been telling us the damn truth the whole time. Here's another one. Here's another. Do you know this one? I love this.
Yeah, this one's good.
See people like Shifty Schiff and Hillary and all of these people, they don't want to talk about greatness for our country. All they want to do is investigate everybody, but they are the ones that are really under investigation. I also want to
it doesn't get clearer than that.
And that makes Schiff's tweets make even more sense. You know, the shit he spouts, me and Joe for a while over on Eye of the Storm have legit had questions. Who's really controlling Hillary and Shifty's Twitters at this point? Because it's like after that Venezuela thing came out, here comes Shifty calling for election integrity in Venezuela. And I'm like, oh, now you believe elections can be stolen, you prick? But in the process, all of his followers are now thinking that elections can be stolen. So again, who's really controlling their Twitters? I've seen Hillary's Twitter personally bang off the drops a little too much to not think white hats are controlling her Twitter.
Dude, I've argued many times that this operation couldn't have taken place without full information control. It's a fifth generation warfare, narrative war, information war. So I always use the mainstream media as the example. I say that they're trying to divide us to such a point that it becomes ridiculous and people jump ship from the polls and land somewhere back in the middle to start having the conversations with love and respect again, right? We were taught not to talk about, you know, abortion and religion and politics. And now we're kind of being corralled so that it's cool to talk about those things again. And it's truly it's definitely happened with me. It's only makes sense that we should probably lump social media into that. I think that China is a really good example. Communist ass China censors everything they allow their people to see. They own a stake in everything that goes in or out of China, everything information, everything political, everything financial. And so if China was the one trying to infiltrate, right, we'll take America without ever firing a shot, then of course, the people that they're exposing through this operation had plans to do the same thing that they were doing in China. So if that operation that was the infiltration was taken over by white hats and the white hats wanted to expose their plans, the white hats would then have taken control of what they were going to do. And there would have been, you know, a purge the same day that Donald Trump got taken off of Twitter. And then you would take the highest contractor of the Department of Defense and have him acquire said social media and slowly, meticulously, strategically start to allow people back onto the platform as we get closer and closer to the final moments of this operation. It's so blatantly scripted, in my opinion, that it's ridiculous. I understand people like Enoch and some others that haven't gotten their full accounts back yet don't like the way it's going, but like we didn't like the way any of this went. Right.
You're right. And I'd be lying if I said I'm not salty that I don't have my original Twitter account right now. You know, we've made that interesting connection as well, that it's like Enoch doesn't have his original account. Stormy Patriot Joe doesn't have his original account. I don't have my original account. So it's like all the big Q influencers right now for the most part, don't have their original accounts. I know I'd love to have my 70,000 followers back. I think Enoch was up around 200, 250,000, if not more. He had a monstrous following. Stormy Patriot Joe was over 150,000. I mean, we'd love to have all of that back. Stormy has a theory that there's the Q drop that says fourth quarter, we all fight together. And he's thinking maybe October, November, December, fourth quarter of the year. Maybe that means sometime from October on, we start seeing some of these original accounts come back too. Personally speaking, if my original account were up right now, I'd be spending a lot of time scrubbing tweets that made me look like a complete date fagging jackass because of the whole ego pride thing we talked about in 2020 a few moments ago. But no, ultimately, as frustrated as I get, I do choose to believe there's a purpose in it. But I'd be lying to you if I said it didn't frustrate me at times when I see certain posts of mine I know are being shadow banned, but I see others go to the moon, or I see other folks with their original accounts back, and I'm like, shit, I would really love to have mine right now just for the red pill aspect of it. But perhaps it's just not time for that level of red pilling from the really hardcore Q folks yet. I don't know. Maybe we'll get there. Hopefully we'll get there. I'd love to see some of these guys and myself obviously get our original accounts back, man, because the work that went into building those accounts is insane. I mean, it's, you know it from your own account and building it up the way you have. It takes a lot of work to build a decent following on these social media platforms, because our base, the people that will follow us, they're not going to follow you for bullshit for the most part. Some will, but you got to earn your following, man. And so I'd love, that's really my biggest gripe right now, is so many old school, legit badass anons are still kind of, and granted, we're over there. We're allowed to have our voice over there now. Nothing of mine gets taken down. I haven't, knock on wood, haven't been suspended or anything, nothing of that sort. But it'd still be nice to have the large accounts to push information around with and get the red pills out with, man.
So Elon and Trump just had their get together, right, on Spaces. And the last report that I heard, I'm sure it's much more now, but it had over 1 billion impressions. That's a lot, right? So that specific example alone proves to me that we are the news now, and we aren't just the news now in a saying. We legitimately could destroy the mainstream media, given that we all stood together for the same purpose.
Yeah.
And I just had Pepe Deluxe on 2 days ago. Have you ever seen his interview on Right Side?
Yeah.
I think it was Right Side. Well, yep. He talks in that interview. I was going to play it again, but I just played it 2 days ago. I won't. Pepe talked about how they measured 900 million impressions a month for so long. I'm pretty sure you were. I think he's talking about We the Media. I'm not sure because I wasn't within the group at that point.
He was talking about the group that preceded We the Media, which was a group we had on Twitter called A Team, and it was a DM group where we literally just helped push each other's stuff and information, and the accounts within that group were exceeding 900 million impressions a month, and there was, I think, 20 to 30 of us all told in that group. It was ridiculous, dude.
Okay, well, now consider, what if you weren't taken off? How could this operation have taken place? It could.
I don't know that. I think that honestly, and I'm not even necessarily including myself here, bro, but some of those guys like Enoch and Stormy may have been too far out in front, ahead of their time, so to speak, that the brakes had to be pumped because people would not accept it, and it could have thrown things off. I don't know. That's where my logical mind goes to, man, because there's some of these guys that are so over the target. Stormy Patriot Joe 3 years ago was talking about Trump getting indicted and getting his balls hacked off online for saying so. People were like, there's no way Trump will get indicted. There's no way he's going to have to go to court for any of this. And Stormy's like, I'm just telling you it's going to happen. And I'm just picking that up from the comms I'm seeing on the board. And I've seen how he put it all together. He's not lying. What happened? Trump got indicted. So my point is, if we're so out in front on some of this stuff, maybe some of it can't be seen like that yet. I don't know. When you're talking about 900 million impressions, that's a lot of minds that people are getting to, and maybe not time for that information to get out yet. And I do align with your theory that white hats have information control. So they're going to put the brakes on things and choose to let other things flood out and at their own behest. I mean, doesn't make it any less frustrating not having these original accounts, but I ultimately do believe there's a purpose for it. I do believe we'll get those accounts back.
Sean just made a really good point. Sean Anon, he's over on pill.net watching, and he said he just saw that Dave from X22 and Sarah Westall both got their YouTube accounts back. Drip, drip, drip.
Yeah, that's huge. That's absolutely huge, man.
X22 and Hat Tipped X22 just used one of my posts, I think, last night on the show. So thank you to Dave if you're out there, buddy. That's pretty cool. I appreciate that. Yeah, but it's more evidence to me that look, if the deep state's still in control, X22 is not getting their YouTube count back.
Right. If the deep state were still in control of information, how is Rumble doing as well as it is?
Right.
I mean, how is Badlands a thing? How is Eye of the Storm even a thing? How is this show a thing? If they were in control of all of it, I don't think they're in control of information. I really even the mainstream outlets. I don't think they're. And I understand the Mockingbird shit that's been put up with Kamala, but look how over the top and egregious it is. If you wanted to show the general public how egregious simultaneous messaging can be across mainstream media, this is how you'd go about doing it. Because it's come out of nowhere with her. And I know plenty of moderates who have noticed it and are like, ooh, that doesn't seem organic. And I'm over here like, it's not. Congratulations. You're being taught what Operation Mockingbird is. So, I don't know. I don't think they control the information, man. I mean, when you look how quick at times over on CNN over the last couple months, Van Jones has been to give Trump credit. This is the same guy that effectively lost his marbles the night that Trump was elected. But then we've got this guy saying a bullet can't take out Trump, but a virus takes out Biden. I mean, come on. It's little things like that. It's little things like during the RNC when CNN's doing their coverage, this conservative dude just happens to end up on the panel and is laying waste to all of them while they're trying to dump over the RNC. It's just stuff like that, man. I do align with your belief that white hats control the information flow. And as frustrating as it can be at times, I just tend to trust it and kind of wait and see where it's going to go. Hopefully it's resolved for the friends on Twitter sooner than later.
Shoot. I got one I really want to show right now. And I don't know if I'm not. Oh, here we go. Perfect time for this clip. See, I told you guys when I look down, I'm not ignoring. Somebody gave a comment the other day, and she actually apologized, just so everybody knows I'm just busting balls. But somebody said when I look down, I'm like ignoring my guests, and I'm not. It's because that's the way I produce. I'm a one-man show. There is no producer here. I'm pulling clips and sharing them myself.
I do the very same myself, especially on Eye of the Storm, as that show is going. People will kind of see me like down over here, or I'll be over here, and it's like it's because I'm on my phone or my iPad pulling clips or pulling stuff up or running the show. It's not me ever ignoring Stormy or ignoring people in the chat. It's because when you're running this stuff, it's actually a little bit more involved than a lot of people would tend to believe.
Bro, it's a lot. It's a lot. I'm watching 4 platforms worth of comments. I'm trying to stay focused on the conversation. You're trying to pull clips and produce at the same time. Look,
hey man,
Fox News has a whole damn team.
I don't mean to be like alone. I don't mean to be Captain Obvious over here, but I'm a video editor, man. You could just be like, hey, faggot, pull this clip for me and load it in the StreamYard, and I'll have it in like 30 seconds.
My man. Well, here's the clip I was looking for. You ready?
Let's go.
The great Dan Scavino put it online. Where's Dan Scavino? The great Dan Scavino. He gets everything. He sees what's going on. Thank you, Dan. Where is he?
He's back there firing off a Q post. Give him a minute.
He controls the internet. The great Dan Scavino. Get over here for the cameras, Dan. Get over there.
He controls the internet.
Scavino is one person I absolutely think is on Q Team and may have been one of the ones making a lot of the posts.
I agree.
Scavino reeks of Anon to me. Him and Jesse Waters come off to me like those two dudes that get done with their day at work and they're plopping open their laptop or their phone and heading over to Poll or heading over to Telegram or Twitter, and they're like they probably both have socks and they're probably memers. Like those two wouldn't surprise me at all because they both have the Anon attitude, especially Jesse Waters. To see this dude on air basically being an Anon wearing a suit and tie every night trips me out every damn night, dude.
Yeah, for sure. When he said Dan's in control of the internet, I choked on my coffee. It fits right into the conversation we were having too. So,
it absolutely does.
Here's another one. Since we talked a little bit about Hillary, right? And I think that Trump is separating himself from Hillary right now because I believe the drops are counting down in reverse. And I think that if that's the case, we do 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Boom.
All that 9/11 stuff, that 9/11 memorial where Hillary Clinton got thrown in a van, won't just be some conspiracy theory anymore. That's what I believe. I could be wrong. That's what I'm seeing as potential. But if Donald Trump's separating himself now, why did he say this?
The Clinton machine is at the center of this power structure. We've seen this firsthand in the WikiLeaks documents, in which Hillary Clinton meets in secret with international banks to plot the destruction of U.S. sovereignty in order to enrich these global financial powers, her special interest friends, and her donors.
Ooh.
So true.
He's such a boss.
Honestly, she should be locked up. Should be locked up.
Okay, so my first reply is this is what I heard while he was talking about her.
I'm going to pull the whole thing down. I'm going to bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's going to be biblical.
That was my first thought. My second thought was in that 30-second clip from Trump, he basically just nailed all over Drop 111, which, ironically enough, is from November 5th, 2017. And it reads as, important context. What have you learned about HUMA? What organization is HUMA? Which U.S. president is affiliated with HUMA? HUMA, by the way, here is not referring to Huma Abedin. It's referring to the Harvard University Muslim alumni. And the U.S. president affiliated with them would be Barack Obama. What years did this occur? Who funded on behalf of this president? That would be Al-Walid, as well as Prince Mansour. Why is this relevant? What years did this occur? What just happened in Saudi Arabia? Who was arrested? That would be Al-Walid. Funds frozen. Why would this former president be funded pre-political days? Because he was a Manchurian candidate for the Saudis and Muslim Brotherhood. Repeat. Important. Why would this former president be funded pre-political days? Why is the relevance? Was the Muslim Brotherhood affiliated to any of these organizations? People. Yes, the Clinton Foundation and HRC through way of Huma Abedin. Fast forward. Why are the events in Saudi Arabia so important? Why was Jared Kushner in Saudi Arabia recently? Why was POTUS's last tweet, re Saudi Arabia, prior to this happening? It was an Aramco tweet, which basically was a go code for this operation in Saudi Arabia. I'll bring up another point about that in a minute too. Why was POTUS's Twitter taken down days before under cover of a rogue employee? I'm going to stop right there to bring up a point. Do you remember off the top of your head what day his Twitter was taken down, Joe?
I know it, but not off the top of my head, no.
It was November 3rd, 11.3. And Q told us we would get verification upon the 11.3 marker, right? I have reason to believe that tweet from Trump announcing his Twitter was taken down was the 11.3 marker because it came on November 3rd. If, in fact, his Twitter was taken down to try to subvert the message he was going to send to take down the Saudi royal family, which in effect helps save America's security and sovereignty, then that's an attack on the president and that's an act of war, which would make 11.3 and that tweet on 11.3 the marker for when the military operation against them really went hot, which would have been 11/3/2017. I have no real proof for that. It's just one of those gut feeling hunch kind of things. Who was arrested in Saudi Arabia? Any ownership stakes in U.S. companies. Again, Al-Walid was arrested. He owned a lion's share of Twitter at the time. Why is this relevant? Twitter, Las Vegas, recent events. This is shortly after the Vegas shooting. Al-Walid owned the top floors of the Vegas hotel where the shooting came from, the Mandalay Bay. Why would investment be made in a former president pre-political days? What years did this occur? What faith does Huma represent? What faith does the Muslim Brotherhood represent? What faith does Huma Abedin represent? Who are the bad actors? Who funds majority of U.S. senior politicians? Fantasyland. Was the former president of the United States groomed to be the commander-in-chief? Is this possible? Is the U.S. political election system corrupt? Who owns poll machines? Soros. Hey, who's back in the news lately, Joe? That'd be Alex Soros, right? With Huma Abedin.
Yeah.
They never thought she would lose. They never thought she would lose. Fantasyland. This is kind of sounding a lot like Kamala this year, ain't it, folks? They don't think she's going to lose. The complete picture would put 99% of Americans, the world, in a hospital. POTUS is our savior. Pray. Operators are active. We are at war. Good night, Barack Obama. Snow White, Godfather 3. In 90 seconds, Trump just banged all over that and Hillary's corruption and why she should be in jail.
Boom. And you know what else?
And it's Drop 111, which is the same unit Flynn commanded in Arizona from Fort Huachuca.
I don't believe in coincidences, bro.
Right?
And then to continue with the cartoon narrative, Trump told us this. Here's a clip you made me think of while you were reading that.
Everyone said couldn't be won. We beat Hillary Clinton. Now, you know, I used to call her Crooked Hillary. I'd say Crooked Hillary, but I took that name away from her. That was a great day. About 2 months ago, I said, you know what? Because I don't like using names on people doubles. I think we have a lot of words out there. So I took, now I call her Beautiful Hillary. She's a beautiful woman. And
people doubles?
Wow. Like, what is... Wow. People doubles. Stormy Patriot Joe picked a really good time to appear as well. What's up, buddy?
Hey guys, what's going on?
Not
good
much,
to see
man.
You, bro.
Just checking in. I caught a little bit about it. You guys are killing it. You know, that Huma stuff and things going on. And I know Trump's about to come on, so a little bit. How much longer are you guys going to be on the air?
We're wrapping up the next 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, cool.
I got work tonight, so.
Yeah.
I know, dude. I've been up since guys. I've been up since 5:30 this morning, and I have to be at work at 5:30 tonight, and I don't get done work until 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. So, yeah, right.
Coffee's gonna be your buddy.
Yeah, Joe. We were playing some fun clips and then just connecting stuff as we go, kind of just like doing it the way we do every other time. But I'm super grateful that you stopped in. I hope everything went well with your family.
Yeah, man. Yeah, just out and about. I wanted to pop in and say hello and keep it rocking it. I've been listening in the background when I can.
I think you just wanted to pop in because you're wearing your Tampa Bay Lightning shirt today, and you kind of wanted to drop over top of me with that one a little bit.
Something like that.
Yeah, he's a diehard Lightning fan. I'm a diehard Hurricanes fan. We have fun with that during the hockey season on the show, man.
Well, if you guys want, I'll throw my Flyer stuff in there and we can fist fight.
Jesus Christ. I'll see you guys later. You're about to hear Barbara laugh in the background. I promise you.
Yeah.
Right about now.
So Rambo, you got that connection with Barb. His wife is a Phillies flopper.
There you go.
I like her. I knew I liked her.
Yeah.
I'm Philly's everything. It's just look, when you grow up in Philadelphia, you don't have a choice, right? If you do construction, it's on the radio. If you're in your car or driving, it's on the radio. If you're in the mall, it's on the TV, it's on the radio. It's you bleed green, you bleed orange, and you bleed red, depending on what season it is. It's just how it goes.
Yeah. But when you're not throwing batteries at Santa Claus and stuff like that.
It's
they were
literally
snowballs and beer bottles, bro.
It's literally the only fucking stadium in the National Football League with a jail in it, dude.
I was there. I've been in that jail.
You guys must have been playing the Giants, huh?
It wasn't the new stadium. I was in the jail of the first stadium to ever have a jail cell in the bottom, and that was the Vet. The Vet's not even around anymore. I'm old.
I've been there. Not the jail, but in the stadium.
Yeah.
Important distinction.
Look, the Flyers games in Philly, guys. If you don't get in a fight with somebody wearing an opposing jersey, you go out in the parking lot and you fight other people in Flyers jerseys before you get in your car. It happens every time. I'm not even kidding.
Barb told me once she would like to go visit Philadelphia, which of course I'd be down for all the history and everything there, right? And she's like, man, I'd love to. What if we could go and the Hurricanes were playing the Flyers up there? I said, it looks like I'd be wearing a fucking Flyers jersey for a night because I'm not getting jumped in Philadelphia.
If
not
either of you two go to Philadelphia and you don't call me, I will be pissed. Look,
I would
go
absolutely
see
call
the
you.
Liberty Bell. I'm in.
That would be like me going to Tampa and not letting Joe know.
Yeah. I when I go there, I got to run up the steps like Rocky, so we could do that together.
Yes. Yeah, I'd take you right there. I know exactly.
I would go right for it.
I've taken pictures with that. Look, we had really good boxers in this town. Joe Frazier and our freaking statues, Rocky. It's kind of embarrassing to be honest, but
yeah.
Right. It's like nothing against Rocky. They're probably my favorite sports movies ever, but maybe Joe Frazier should get the big ass statue.
Yeah. That's a black eye. It's a black eye on the city of Philadelphia, in my opinion, but whatever. Rambo, Rocky, I'll just go with it.
I did hear you guys recapping a little bit about the Ashley Babbitt situation. I just wanted to make one quick connection. So when Trump would describe that scenario, he would always say that she got shot right in the head. And like, if you believe the narrative, she got shot like over in the collarbone area. So why was Trump constantly saying that she got shot right in the head if she got shot over in the collarbone? And then like his personal situation, what's he saying now? Oh, I got shot in the earlobe. So he purposely seeds information throughout all these scenarios. If you're listening carefully, is all I'm going to say.
I can't find the clip fast enough, but he just recently, Joe, said no one died on January 6th.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yep. So that came back around. So to kind of tie those things together, you know what I mean?
Right. And it's funny because I won't say any names, but I saw Rambo taking attacks on Twitter when he had posted that clip of Trump saying, nobody died on J6, and immediately somebody in there saying, oh, he misspoke. He's misspeaking, and immediately takes you back to the Q drop where Q says, does POTUS ever say anything that's not true?
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
I don't mind the attacks anymore, to be honest. I've kind of like learned to roll with the punches. It is what it is.
Yeah, I really don't care.
Yeah. Been out way out in front of a few things that I took heavy fire for. It's part of it.
We were talking about your indictment call 2-3 years ago that you took all kinds of flack for at the time, and ended up being completely true that he ended up getting indicted. So, the story, I've known Stormy long enough now to fully vouch for this Stormy sense he talks about. It's not bullshit. When Stormy's, it's like his spider sense, really. When he's picking up on something from these drops, very rarely does it not pan out. Sometimes it takes a little time, but I got his back on damn near all of his opinions, man. I've seen him prove true too many times.
I got to be honest. You guys probably don't even realize this, but I feel like a good young Jedi, because Stormy Patriot Joe, I have watched you do those things over the years, and I've watched you be proven right multiple times. I know I'm not the only one. I'm far from the only one, but even I predicted the assassination attempt and that it would fail on May 31st through a post. I mean, I'd been thinking about it for months, but I actually made a post about it on May 31st because of the drops, and because I posted fearlessly like I've seen so many guys do, including and specifically yourself. So I appreciate what you do. I'll never just come out and attack someone for their research for that reason, and I don't think anybody should be.
Yeah, Stormy's the same way. Me and Stormy are the same way, man. We don't hold what opinion you want, man. It's fine. I don't begin attacking people until I've been attacked. I come from the defensive angle on that. I never look to attack people. I never go on rampages for no reason. If I'm firing back at somebody, it's because they brought it on themselves and they're speaking out of line. We'll go unnamed. There was somebody that was attacking me and Joe pretty hard for our stance that we're at Israel for last and Patriots are in control. This person's like, there's no way anybody could ever be in control of Israel. Hate all the Jews. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm just not going to take that stance of hating an entire faith, because that would be, it's the same thing we deal with all the time. We get called, Nazis and racists and white supremacists when we're not. Just because maybe 0.5% of white folks that live somewhere in the backwoods of Appalachia might be white supremacists toting around their stupid little KKK flags does not mean that everybody who is white on the right is a KKK member. It's the same thing for those folks over there. So, it's these attacks, they've gotten to a point where if I fire back, it's for a reason. Usually because somebody I respect or love a great deal has been attacked. Stormy will vouch for that shit. I'm kind of you go after somebody I love, I go straight pit bull pretty quick, man.
And there might be a tie-in tonight at the DNC with all these quote unquote protesters outside. Watch for that to tend to ramp up. I think we might see something with all that connected tonight. Israel for Last was put out there for a reason, and so are these pop-up protests. It's it's all, dragging people to a different mindset, left, right, and center.
Yep. Well said, man.
Brilliant.
Well said.
Well,
All right, guys.
I
got to peace out.
All right, brother.
Easy, brother.
Thank you for stopping.
Okay, man. Good to see you guys.
All
Good to see you, Joe.
Well, that was cool.
Do you know how hard it is for me to talk to each of you individually when you're both on screen? Because I got to call you Rambo and I got to call him Stormy. I'm going to get it mixed up at some point, dude.
Well, when you call him, like I answer to Rambo, obviously, but when you call him Joe, I also answer. So you're right.
It's tricky, man. It's tough to navigate. I love it, though.
Well, I want to start to wrap. I got one more video that everybody's seen 3 million times, but I think it puts a good exclamation point on this whole conversation. I just want to say quick, there's like almost 900 people in here over on Rumble. If you could, and you have enjoyed this conversation, please do me a favor. The best thing you can do to support the show is to hit that positive affirmation button on all platforms. Thumbs up on Rumble. Take that red pill.
Kitty. Look at this cat. Do it for the cat, guys. Hit the thumbs up for Q Kitty. His name is literally Kitty.
All right. So here's the last clip I wanted to play for today. Everybody's seen it. Everybody's used it. Everybody references it. I believe it to be 100% true. And I think that we're going to find out what he meant by this very, very shortly. Here we go.
I think in light of all of the things going on, and you know what I mean by that, the fake news, the Comeys of the world, all of the bad things that went on, it's called the swamp. And you know what happened? And you know what I did? A big favor. I caught the swamp. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on, and nobody else could have done it. On top of that, we have the best economy, greatest economy we've ever had, the best job numbers we've ever had, African-American,
I love how he does that.
Hispanic, the best ever. So I think
I love how he says, I caught them all. I caught the swamp. Let's see what happens. Oh, yeah. And by the way, I'm doing really good politically.
Right. I've got my foot way up in their ass, but I'm also really good at my job, too, if you haven't noticed. I believe him. I believe he caught them all. And I believe we're in an exposure campaign right now, man. I really do. I don't see from a spiritual, metaphysical, physical, emotional, I don't see from any of those standpoints how you could have pulled the curtain on all of this at once and still had society remain standing after the fact. I think people's psyches, including a lot of ours, were too fragile for that shit at that point in time. Thus the drip flood, thus the slow unrolling and exposure of everything and walking people to it. You never wake a sleepwalker, man. And a lot of people were sleepwalking. You got to let them wake up organically. If you force it down their throats and try to tell them the truth all at one time, they're going to reject it. But you let them walk to it organically. It's very much the same as, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't teach it to drink. They got to take that drink on their own. And once they do, they've got it figured out. And I think we're in the middle of that right now. We're seeing it every day, dude. Yep.
Yeah, without question. Well, bro, I believe I know I'm off next week. We doing this again?
Always. Anytime you're available on a Thursday, I'm available, man. I told you, Wednesdays and Thursdays are basically my weekend, but coming over here on Thursdays would kind of be the equivalent of sitting back with your buddies on a Sunday night during Sunday Night Football and just sitting back watching the game and chilling. Like, this is a complete chill session for me, man. This is fun as hell for me to do. So yeah, let's do it.
Well, I don't know if you realized it, but sitting and hanging out and having a chill session with your friends was just an absolutely brilliant show that I'm very proud of. So this was freaking awesome, dude. Thank you.
Yeah. And it was your 55th show too. 5-5.
I know. I meant to bring that up. 5x5. It's only fitting that you two came on, that me and you got to hang out for this. Yeah, that's really cool.
Right.
All right. Well, I'm gonna run through all the things, the Substack and the show.
Oh man, all the things
yet again.
All right, you can find me over on Substack at Absolute1776.substack.com. I tend to post more notes over there than articles, but I've been picking up my articles recently. I also contribute the Q for Dummies articles over on Badlands Media, and I put out 2 to 3 of those per month, and it's a really, really super low-level look at the drops. And so my intent with the Q for Dummies is to help people who have no idea about Q, have never come across Q, be able to relate to it in an easier way so they can begin stepping up to the stuff like Eye of the Storm, to the stuff like Patriot in Progress's Substack, where he goes over the drops in a high-level view, to stuff like Enoch's Decodes. Because admittedly, if you're brand new to this and you're just seeing some of these complex decodes for the first time, it's probably going to put you off a little bit, maybe even overwhelm you. So that was the purpose of Q for Dummies, to write a series of articles that could kind of baby step people into following Q. As far as my shows go, of course, there's Eye of the Storm. That comes on Tuesday nights at 10:30, Friday nights at 9 o'clock, and starting this week, it will also be airing Sunday nights at 7:30. So 3 weekly episodes of Eye of the Storm starting up this Sunday. Those are all on Badlands Media. I also do Culture of Change with Ash in America. That's on Sundays as well, from 5:30 to 7. I do every now and again, I pop on the Liberty Den over on Badlands Media, and I used to do sports talk, but we've shelved that for the time being, and we're going to have 2 new shows coming up in the time slot for sports talk. One is going to kind of be a man cave show where it's just men doing stupid shit, talking about stupid man shit, sports, guns, survival, prepping, all of the things that, men enjoy. And then the second one is going to be a music show, just all about music. It's going to be me and Patriot on that show with JB. We're just going to talk about music, man. People in this movement love music. We're going to talk about Patriot musicians. We're going to shine light on great live performances. We're going to do top 5s of, best guitarists, best drummers, whatever, break down songs, talk about song meanings, lyrics, songs that may apply to what we're going through right now. Just nothing but music on that show, man. And the plan with these 2 shows is to kind of try to get away from the politics a little bit with each show, to let people have a break from it, to give people a couple shows where they can switch off from everything going on in the world and just kind of be in a couple different caves and enjoy a little bit of time without the pressure of what's going on in the world on you. Because especially over the next 3 months, man, things are going to get heavy. So people are going to need some breakaways from everything going on. So that's where you can find me. You can find me on Twitter at RealAbs1776, True Social at Absolute1776. Those are the platforms you can find me. And admittedly, I use Telegram and Twitter way more. My Telegram is also Absolute1776 over there. So I go over to True Social time to time, but Twitter and Telegram are really where you'll find the majority of my posts. Also my Rumble channel. I'm a lot of places, man. And Barbara threw my link tree up down there so you guys can find me on the link tree. And I appreciate all the support and all the love, man. You guys are equally as awesome to me over here as the Badlanders are. I mean, it's just, when I say it's truly a pleasure and truly humbling to be able to do this, I honestly mean it, man. You guys are absolutely the best out there. Thank you so much for everything.
Well, bro, being able to link up with you guys is like I've said many times before, an absolute honor. I can't wait. If you guys are serious, I can't wait to come over and hang out with you at some point. We'll definitely talk in the back channels. You let me know, and I'll make that.
It's gonna happen, brother.
All right, cool. Well, thank you again. If nothing else, we will see you next Thursday. I appreciate you. I'm gonna drop you down and do some house clean stuff, but thank you again, Paul. It's always awesome. Man. Tell Joe thank you.
Will do, brother.
All right, later. All right, that was freaking awesome. Yet again, Absolute 1776, and we got a short little hangout there from Stormy Patriot Joe. So I want to say thank you here to everybody that supported the show. John Henry Bonzo, I saw your Rumble rant. I wish I could have said thank you right away. It's hard to break in sometimes, but John Henry Bonzo said the light shines in the darkness, and darkness has not overcome it. Be well and press on, and God bless you and your families. Thank you very much for that $5 Rumble rant. And then over on pill.net, Believer, Braves Piano, and Believer 2 more times. One with a can from Believer, us with the Pepe emoji. Love you, Joe, from Believer, and Braves Piano with a cookie, listening while driving to work. Love y'all. And then Believer again with the shades. Thank you guys all very, very much for supporting the show. If you are watching the replay, first of all, there's been a lot of people that came in here towards the end of the show. Do yourself a favor. In my opinion, this was a great one. Go back and watch this show back. And if you guys are liking what you're hearing here, like I said, the best way you can support is to, first of all, hit the positive affirmation button on whatever platform you're on. And second of all, share the show. I know I always had 1 or 2 friends that were interested in these types of conversations, the type of information that diggers like Paul and John, myself, and the rest of us all put together. If you enjoyed the way this show went down and you think it would bring more eyes to the show, please send the link to one of your friends. Put it out there on one of your social media platforms. Post it on X, whatever it might be. Okay. It means that is what means the most to me, as we are absolutely continuing to grow. Thank you to people like Dave and Joe and Absolute and AO and Pepe Deluxe and right on and on. Smart Paul, JF Non, Feisty Cat, right? All the amazing people that come on the show. So thank you very much to everybody. I will see you guys all on Monday. We will be doing one show on Bitcoin, as G Money will be here. I have a bunch of stuff lined up. Just stay tuned. I'll be back on Monday at 1 p.m. I will see you guys then. Till then, much love. Peace.